Hey folks, it's Bale. I'm back. And man, what a game. What a series we got here today. It is Reynor versus Clem from EPT number 94, the European edition. But before we get into that, I'd like to remind you all to like, comment, subscribe, all those wonderful things that help us out with the YouTube algorithm, allow us to continue to produce content like this. And of course, if you like the bespoke tournaments, the tournaments that we run ourselves, things like King of Battles coming up in 2 weeks, and all the other smaller events, Brawlers Club, things like that. Make sure to go check us out on our Patreon. Support us that way. You can get replay packs, things like that. But we're here now. Right, all that's out of the way. My shilling is done for now. That means we can introduce our players. In the upper right, in the red, he's the Italian stallion for Clash Esports, Reynor. And of course, his opponent in the bottom left in the blue for Team Liquid. He is Mlem. He is Clem. So it's funny. This series always feels like a treat when we get it, but it feels like we get it more often than not. Whether we're looking at the final days, the final games of a DreamHack Masters. Of a season finals, although recently, Reynor's not exactly qualified for that. Whether it's because he's kind of dealing with phone internet and has his keyboard balanced on a table, or whether just the rest of Europe is catching up with him. I mean, we haven't seen Reynor at season finals with the 100% consistency that we saw last year. We saw the start of this year, but even still, whenever we get this series, it is a treat. I mean, Clem, kind of old hat to talk about it at this point, but as by far the best TVZ, maybe in the world. People would argue maybe Cure has that, maybe Maru has that, but certainly in Europe, and it's not even close. But yeah, Clem has that incredible TVZ record. Reynor the same, very, very good at this ZVT matchup. At least the matchup that Clem chooses to play. Of course, different Terran players have different pursuits, different ways that they look to play this game. We look at Maru, who really more often than not feels like he is going on into the late game, just trying to keep himself even there. And then, it's Ghost, Tank, Liberator control that really is what kind of wins him those games. Whereas Clem will try to overpower you in the mid game as well. But anyways, nice little move there just now from Reynor as he tried to go and just pull some drones and try to knock the Reaper down if he could get the surround. But of course, Reaper was doing a good job making sure that I didn't get surrounded there. And, honest, Reynor didn't lose too much. He about a second or two of mining time. No big deal. But anyway, so now we're going to see the Reaper go up on the high ground. But again, at this point, the Reaper's not going to get too much done. It's going to go sit there. It's going to run on the high ground. Try to find its way up. But Reynor's got the Zerglings in position. Everything's fine, and we're not going to see too much more pressure on the map now for Clem for a little bit of time. Yeah, it's a 1-1-1, but it is delayed 1-1-1. We're most likely not going to see any Banshee play, although, I mean, there is a tech lab right next to the starport, but this really should just be for stim. And at this point, I mean, it's 3CC play. Clem is going to try to put some pressure on the map, just try to make sure that we are aware of what he's doing. All right, make sure that we're aware, we're aware that he's doing. Make sure that Reynor is not really able to get too much pressure, not able to get this creep unfettered. So, Clem, it's just more of an annoying factor at this point. Do what he can to just make it easier for his pushes later on to happen. And actually, these are going to run on in here because it's just two Reapers or just two aliens and a Reaper. But there are no Zerglings here. They were not made. Reynor kind of correctly identified that this was a 3CC play, which means you're not going to have a lot of defensive stuff earlier. Or you're not going to have a lot of aggressive stuff earlier, which means that, yeah, Reynor can go and cut some corners. And he is actually going to be successful in doing so. The Reapers to Hellions, they dive in, but Queens are there. No big deal. Meanwhile, Hellions on the right side, or excuse me, the left side, not really going to get all that much done either. And away we go. Clem looking for damage. But unfortunately, the damage that he's going to find is just really not there. So he's going to try to find some more. Liberator is going to be the opening here. Still some sort of sky-based harass. It's not going to be Banshee, of course, because this was 3CC play, and therefore you got to be. You just don't have the time. You want to make sure you get stim in a reasonable timing, and you can't go 3CC and still get stim. at a decent timing there. So yeah, it's just going to be a Liberator. Reynor just sits on top of it, knocks it all down, and the Liberator goes down. But now that buys time for these Hellions to dive on in, and it's going to be lined up. 3 workers go down. It's going to be 5. We're going to be 7. Probably, as now the drones are going to look for the surround here, looking for that line as they retreat back onto the low ground. 11 workers go down. We have a cheeky little transfuse on some of those drones, but still 11 workers are dead and 2 Hellions are still alive. So there is another shot here. There we go. 14 workers go down. And Reynor, he's not dead, but he's not alive either. 14 workers at this stage in the game is absolutely disastrous. Reynor actually dropping below the worker count of Clem at this point. And this is despite, by the way, Reynor going for that 9-queen style. He had 6 defensive queens and then 1, injecting per base. And what that means, well, means that you got to get something done with that. You are delaying some things by going for 9 queens. You're going to get less Zerglings. You're going to maybe get a little bit less gas to make your minerals out. Make sure you get enough minerals to do all that, and make sure you're droning it properly. So when you take 14 workers, well, not great, because you did make a commitment to being solidly defensive there. Now, Clem first parts, you got 1-1 right around the same timing that we're going to see on Reynor. So we're not going to see what sometimes happens where you kind of have that 1-1 versus 0-0 Terran timing push. Granted, it's not really much of a thing anymore anyways, because 2 base muta, 2.5 base muta kind of fallen by the wayside just due to the presence of early Terran aggressive timings starting to become more common, more popular in the meta once again. I mean, we've seen Maru really enjoying this 2-1-1 setup, and even, Hellion Banshee into kind of an early push that can cause problems for a 2-base Zerg player. You're not getting a lot of Lings, and honestly, not a lot of Queens either if you're going for like a 2-base muta. But it looks like Reynor very quickly, he's just going to look to go into Hydraling Bane, get into Lurkers ASAP, just try to be as defensive as he can for the time being, because he took a lot of damage. But there is, if you're looking at Zerg compositions, probably one of the best one to play if you are just trying to sit on creep, play defensively, develop your tag, get to a higher and higher position. Well, it is going to be that Hydraling Bane. It gives you some ability to maintain your army over the course of multiple fights, because the Hydras really shouldn't be going down. If the Hydras are dying in bulk, you got bigger problems. You got bigger fish to fry than just, well, losing the fight. So that's going to work out pretty well here for Reynor now. He's going to struggle to take this fight, because Baneling speed is not done. It's not done for another 30 seconds. And with these tanks on the high ground, well, it's going to kind of be hard for the surround. The Banelings are going to waddle. It's going to be hard for Reynor to get on top of the tanks as they move on in. But now it looks like Reynor... No, okay, that's just a couple Lings that were not on hold position. We're just waiting for Baneling speed to finish on up, and that is done in 10 seconds. Now, you got to be careful here, because the 4th base is just not going to go down. Nice transfuse there from Reynor, making sure that everything stays alive. And now we have Reynor going on in for the break. Lings on top of these tanks, just getting on top of everything. Tanks actually doing some friendly fire as well. Baneling's not taking any damage here. And it's going to be a clean up here for Reynor indeed. Now, that being said, these queens don't have a lot of energy. They don't have a lot of HP, so it's going to be difficult. You're not going to be able to transfuse this army right now. Nothing like that. Well, I mean, he's an active boy. He's not just doing one thing at any given time. We got an army on the right side as well, and now there is no base here. So he's not going to look to shut down a base, but he is denying creep. This is probably going to be where the 5th base of Reynor ends up being. So already, he's setting himself up for the next time. He's setting himself up for the next push, as nice target fire will knock down a couple of these Banelings. But, well, I'm just still going to be able to pick up with a little bit of stuff. But Reynor has bought himself some time. 13 Hydras are on the way, 2-2 as well. And yeah, this drop's going to find its way on in the main base, but we have 2 spores here. It's just not going to be able to get all that much done. And, well, creep was denied. On the right-hand side, creep on the left is developing a pace. It's exactly kind of where Reynor wants it to be. And considering this is where his 4th base is, this is where Reynor is actively playing the game, well, that's the big deal. Nice win of mine shot there, but it will be a medevac in exchange. So, no, not the biggest of deals here as Banelings look to roll on in, but Clem, he's paying attention to this army. And that Widowmine shot, oh, man. So many Zerglings go down in a blink of an eye, but Reynor was going to be able to rotate along. I do want to see him move his queens on over to this right-hand side. This is becoming pretty scary on into things, because, okay, Widowmine's going to try to snipe some Hydras, but they're not going to get too much done. Other one's going to get target fire down. Okay. There we go. The medevac goes down as well. But things are getting a little scary here. This position, the furthest extent of the creep from Reynor, I guess we have this spot too, but, it's separated out. Doesn't really matter. Is kind of scarily close to the natural, to really the beating heart of the Zerg production. And when that happens, well, it becomes rather problematic indeed. Now, Reynor, he's going to knock down a couple of these Widow Mines, which is going to be nice. It will allow him to just be a little bit happier. And he holds Zelnaga, so he has a significant vision advantage in the fight right now. And, well, Widow Mines, they're getting target fire down, but we already are starting to see Clem. It looks like he's transitioning into tanks just a little bit. I mean, as I say that, this is +1 plating coming on in, and Widow Mines are still being made, so I guess not. I guess these are just tanks from earlier. Anyway, Reynor now, Clem does have the Zelnaga tower at this point, so these tanks are going to be even more powerful than they might already will be, but, you know, we will have Hydra's target fire that down. The vision advantage no longer quite there for Clem as it once was. We're going to see this army get broken. Bailey's looking to roll on in, but the tank is not going to go down, and Reynor, he's going to be forced to retreat. Doesn't want to lose too many of these valuable, these expensive Hydras that he's going to need to turn into lurkers later on. Of course, that's only if Clem allows him to do so, as now we do have Clem. He's looking to pile drive on in. It's 2-2 versus 2-2, but the army is here. It is powerful. It is double the army supply of Reynor in this game number 1. It's going to have to be these Banelings that are going to make the difference. But we have a tank here. We have Widow Mines. They're all going to get target fired on down, at least enough to matter. And yeah, Clem, he is on and doesn't even feel the need to scan out the creep at this point. GG, Clem. He takes game number 1. All right. Here we are. It's game 2. And Clem looked dominant in game number 1. Straight up looked incredible. Because he gets 14 workers early, and he just doesn't let up the pressure from that point. Yeah, maybe there were some pushes that got cleaned up, but in general, just really defining the tempo, defining the pace of that game. Not getting the 4th base, sure, but trading well enough, knocking down all the energy in the Queens, which meant creep could not be reestablished, and then just taking that fight around his, what was going to be his 4th base, where you have the tank on the side, and Reynor can just not target fire it on down, especially with +1 plating completing, and well, with the tank surviving, just hitting 5, 6, 7 shots on those Hydras. We saw Reynor have to retreat, and at that point, I mean, Terran Rally's coming on in. It's 2-2 versus 2-2. The supplies are somewhat equivalent, but the army supply is not. And well, suddenly, Clem is not able to do what he wants, or Reynor's not allowed to do what he wants to do, and we move on. Clem takes the 1-0 lead, but folks, this is a best of 5. This is a grand finals of EPT 94. These players have won these series before. They've won these games before. It should come as no surprise to anyone that a player takes a game. Now, and I don't think, there's no way that this is just going to be a 3-0. He's Clem. Right? He is the, or I should say he's Reynor, because Clem, he could conceivably 3-0 Reynor, depending on the relative form of each player. We've seen it happen in the past, but it's not common. These players are the top of the ladder, top of the skill bracket in Europe. Seeing them go 0, seeing either player go 3-0 is pretty much inconceivable. So game 2 is on Hardwire. Hardwire, of course, it's not quite as big as 2,000 Atmospheres, but it's still a larger map. It's got, what is it, 7 bases? Yeah, it's got like 7 bases readily accessible. And technically, there's like this 8th base in the, bottom right, upper left. That is technically an 8th base for either side, but I mean, realistically, look how close these bases are to each other. It's very difficult to take kind of these interior bases or these kind of diagonally spread bases, because you're expanding very close. You will be expanding rather close to your opponent's base at that point. So it does cause some late game chaos, really as all the best maps do. You're able to expand, you're able to get the number of bases you want to play as kind of a solid macro epic game. But as the game goes along, as things expand more and more, you have to start expanding towards each other. Reynor has to expand towards Clem and vice versa. And that really just necessitates impact. That necessitates conflict. And then, of course, well, that makes the game end. So from that perspective, Hardwire, I'm a fan. I don't believe that they have yet fixed Hardwire on ladder, which is unfortunate, in terms of the tank sieged up position where you can drop 2 tanks on that cliff right there. But luckily, folks, this is technically in the ladder pool for all major tournaments. It actually gets played on TLMC 15 Hardwire, a Hardwire that is fixed. So, well, we may not get to experience that in our in our games. Well, the pros don't have to worry about that, which is very nice. We don't get kind of imba tank drops and things like that. Anyways, Zergling speed is now done to this point. We should see 12 a couple more links from Reynor right around that 4-minute mark, just to make sure he's safe from Hellion Banshee stuff, and that is exactly what Clem is going for. We saw him go 3cc play game number 1, which was, even more impactful because he killed 14 workers. You kill 14 workers and you go your 3rd CC before your factory, well, good luck. Because no Zerg player is ever going to be happy about that one. I mean, you're not happy about losing workers anyways, but yeah, it's understandable if your opponent goes very heavy committed aggression. That was not committed aggression from Clem. And how he played, yes, in his build order, not really. But now we're going to see the Hellions look to dive on in. But Reynor, he's built a couple more Zerglings this time, and he looks like he will get the surround on top of one of these Hellions. There we go. 2 Hellions will die. Queens will knock the second one down. And now, just less value. Now, of course, when you're traditionally playing Hellion Banshee, the Hellions are going to look to move around earlier. Hellions and Reapers try to just get damage done on these Queens, which makes the Banshees able to do more. But as StarCraft has evolved, we see less and less of that. Now it's just you have the Reapers, the Hellions at front, trying to deny creep, do what they can. You see the Banshees kind of swoop around the side. 2 Banshees, of course, one-shot a worker. And, it's just more of a game of multitasking than actually trying to go kill your opponent, knock down Queens, do things like that. Because realistically, especially if this is a 9-queen Zerg player, as Reynor is almost 100% of the time. Yeah, there we go. 9 queens. Actually, he's going up to 10 this game. Interesting. But, 9, 10 queens. Yeah, Hellion Banshee is not going to break the Zerg. It may make it, he may get some drone damage, but that's going to be just about it. Now, Clem, I like this. So this is a big map, Hardwire. We talked about it, 7-8 bases. It has a somewhat significant rush distance. What can you do if you go Hellion Banshee? If you take a delayed 3rd base, how can you build yourself better into a better economic position? Well, it's elementary, my dear Watson. You take your 3rd base on position, and you just really look to abuse the fact that it's hard. It's hard for a Zerg player to punish this right now. With the Hellion Banshee on the map, with how long the rush distance is, with the lack of tech, it's just very hard for the Zerg to do anything about the 3rd base that's being made on location. So, yeah, Clem, he's gonna develop, I'm not gonna say an economic advantage, because I mean Reynor's already on just about 66 workers. He has that full 3 base saturation. He's got his 4th base underway. He's got Queens in a good position. That being said, the Banshees may be able to knock this base down. We don't quite have detection just yet. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna see a Queen go down. Or at least to come under heavy threat here. So that's annoying. You want to see the Spore look to move a little bit forward. But now, okay, the energy on these Banshees has run out. And we're going to see the Queen's able to push that one on back. And by the way, because of the damage that Reynor was able to get done to the Hellion, or excuse me, the Reaper Hellion pack earlier on, this creep has not been delayed at all. Reynor owns his, I'm not going to say quadrant of the map, but, we're not gonna, more like half of his map, as his creep is pretty much on midsection on almost every attack path. The one on the right is not quite in midfield, but you got to also remember here, this is, that's a much harder attack alley for Clem to really attack on into. Also, I mean, notice the Reynor kind of double expanding here, which is something we see Zerg players do when they're not convinced that they can keep a base, but I mean, this creep spread from Reynor should make it very evident that he's going to be able to keep that base. Now, of course, the big issue is that we have our Baneling Nest finishing right around the time that, more often than not, we see Baneling Speed finishing. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult for Reynor to really hold off attacks for a while, but, well, he will have Hydras, and he will have slow Banes, and as long as you're on creep, it's not the biggest of deals until you're trying to deal with mass Widowmine fields, which, hey, Widowmines are underway, Tunneling Claws are underway. And Reynor, it's just all about him trying to be as greedy as possible. Just develop his economy at this point. Yeah, sure, maybe he may not trade the best with that Baneling speed. But if he can just make sure that his creep is as developed as it is currently, if he can just keep the Terran army kind of fighting on the edges of things, it won't really matter whether he is Baneling speed or not. Because, creep is still a powerful thing. It makes it difficult for, Clem to really push on in here. Widowmine shot not going to be all that successful. Second one's going to get target fired on down. Zergling's just trying to chase here, trying to swarm. You can't drop the Marines now there, Clem. It's just not a thing. Not with a bunch of lings underneath it. But now I'm starting to get worried because the Baneling Nest is done. It's been done for a while. And now Baneling speed. 8:30. This is going to be, what, a 10-minute-ish Baneling speed? Coming on in from Reynor. That's probably one of the later Baneling speeds I've ever seen against Bio. I mean, sometimes you see weird setups where The Zerg is going like Mutiling Bane versus Mech, and you'll take delayed bathing speed because you're just trying to greed it out hard and just get as many mutas as possible early. But I mean, that has not really been a thing since well, since banelings against anything that is not light got nerfed. So I mean, okay, I've seen players do it. I haven't seen it win. I feel like that's probably fair to say. But man, I mean, Reynor owns this map. It's 9 minutes, and he is on 6 bases. He's mining up from 5 of them, but he has 6 hatcheries on the field, and all 6 of them, none of them really have come under threat thus far. Now, Reynor, he's gonna have to deal with this. This is a triple widow or a triple medevac drop, so it's not the easiest thing to clean on up. But you're gonna lose a gas, you lose a sport, no big deal. It's not like Clem has anything else on the map right now, and that's one of the benefits of just how damn good this creep spread has been. Now, that being said, we are seeing the suffering of lack of baneling speed right now. Baneling just not really able to connect. Clem just target fires them all down, and we will not see medevac go down. So 5 workers go down. We saw 2 gas die. We saw a couple hydras die. We saw some banelings die. We saw a queen die. Really significant damage, or at least not insignificant damage from Clem in the main base. He's trying to press on further, but look, 2-2 is now done. Baneling speed is done. It's a whole lot harder for Clem to take this fight on creep. Reynor, he's maxed out. He's in a pretty good spot. He will be able to knock down that medevac, and now, well, it's Reynor's turn to swarm here. Let Clem feel the full might of the Overmind brought to bear. He's got a lot of stuff. And in fact, he's up on Clem's army supply now as well. We will see those Banshees get target fired on down. Reynor looking to move on in. He's got a little bit of an army on the left side, but not all that much. That being said, there's a wall, there's a tank. It's going to be hard for Reynor to really break through here. I mean, yeah, he can Widowmine burst through, but that's not going to be great. And there's a Widowmine shot to end all Widowmine shots. Clem, he's going to be able to force Reynor back for a time. It looks like these queens are going to go down as well as Reynor now trying to take this fight. Widowmines, they're not going to get too much done as Reynor is probably one of the best players in the world just splitting against that. He's just so good at figuring out exactly where the Widowmine tracer is and, you know, splitting against it, doing that hold position thing. And again, this creep spread is insane. It is past Reynor's half of the map now. It is now encroaching into Clem's side of things as he has made 2 sensor towers right next to each other. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's probably just a misclick, but certainly it's money that Clem doesn't really need to spend, as he is only on 4 bases. We have Reynor on 6. Probably going to be able to get up to 7 soon. That base I was talking about, that's kind of hard to take. Well, he has developed his creep to the point where he can probably take it rather soon. It just means it's going to be hard for him to take the left one as well. And now Reynor looking to move on forward. He really can't take this fight, not under the auspices of a tank. But still, this army on the left-hand side. Reynor doing a great job of splitting up his army appropriately, making sure that he trades, if not wins, but trades evenly. Fights on both sides of the map. And, well, look, Lurker Den is about halfway done. Hive is about halfway done. And that is the timing where we see Zergs win the game. Right now, it's all about holding. It's all about keeping the Terran player from your side of the map, making sure that you're able to get the trades that you're looking for. But eventually, once you have lurkers down, once you have lurker upgrades, that's when it's all about actually winning the game here. That being said, this is a massive counterattack coming on in from Reynor. He's going to look to Baneling, bust this thing down. Half the damage, the whole damage. The base is dead. But there's another base. In fact, there are multiple other command centers here. There's another planetary as well. So Reynor's getting a lot of damage done with this. But it's not like the mining of Clem is going to be too heavily impacted. That being said, he's going to get the second command center as well. And now Clem's trying to press on in here. He has not really removed a lot of the creep that was active on the map, although getting a lot of these queens will be impactful indeed as the Marauders, they soak up all the Widowmine shots. And now Clem's starting to swarm forward a little bit as well, even as 12 workers go down. Reynor, you got to remember, he's down 20 army supply, right? That's going to be a fantastic Widowmine, or a fantastic Baneling. But even with that, he's down 20 army supply, and a good percentage of his army was on the left-hand side. But even with that, Langbane Hydra on creep, probably one of the most cost-effective, supply-effective compositions that we can have, as a couple lurkers will go down as they morph. Anyway, Widowmines will get target fired down now. And Clem, he did lose, what was that? Planetary Command Center? Yeah, but he's still got a couple more here. We're going to see lurkers just kind of randomly burrowing on forward and actually finding a decent amount of value here. That's interesting lurker positioning. And by the way, there's no detection around this 4th base of Clem, so he's going to lose a lot of SCVs. 9, 10, 11 workers go down. There's no 3-3 yet, but there certainly is +2. There's every upgrade that Reynor could possibly look for. And yeah, he's going to lose this base. That's fine. He still has, he's still going to be on 5 bases. He's shutting Clem on down to Well, not 3. Or not 4 necessarily, but certainly it's not. Actually, yeah, sorry, he is going to go down to 3. Is that command center will now finally go down here. Hydras, if you haven't heard, Hydras do a lot of damage even with +1. But yeah, no, so Clem very much at an all-in position at this point. His economy has very much been broken here. He's only really mining off of 1 base because he's been heavily muling the rest of things. But that being said, his army, it's up 30 army supply. The lurkers are starting to get target fire down as they go. We do see, of course, the scans there, but now the Hydras, the reinforcing Hydras, they're here. The army is falling apart. We will see 1 medevac. Actually, 2nd medevac get targets fired on down. And now Clem, he's equal on army supply. He's down just about 40 workers. And well, at this point, Clem's got his work cut out for him. From an income perspective, he's mining literally half of what his opponent is. He's, I mean, that makes sense, you know, half the workers. But now Reynor, he's bought himself a little bit of time. We have Vipers. They're going to come on out here. And yeah, Vipers are... Oh, Widowmine actually will go off there. I thought it was target fired in time. But anyway, with the addition of the Vipers here, suddenly these lurkers are going to be much more powerful. You can't just stim on top of them, and blinding clads can get dropped. And of course, the really nice thing is you can parasitic bomb tons and tons and tons of medevacs. And that just cuts down on all the healing of the Terran player. But now we'll have Clem. Of course, he's never active in just that one spot. He's going to stim on into the right-hand side as well. And now, well, Reynor lost his base on the left. He's lost his base on the right. He's only on 4 bases at this point. Clem also technically has 4. Suddenly, this economic situation, it's not as dire as it previously was for Clem. I mean, yeah, he's not mining a lot of gas, but he's a Terran. He doesn't really need to mine a lot of gas anyways. As he moves into Ghost Tech, yeah, he's going to need a little bit more. But look at this. He's sitting on 1,500 gas. He can last for a while on this gas bank that he has for himself. Now we have Reynor looking to move on in. Nice blitz there on the Widowmines. Not really going to get all that much done. Lings are swarming. And of course, they do have +3 armor now, so they will be even more impactful. Not going to take quite as much damage from the Stim Bio here. But the Widowmines are going to do a good enough job. We're going to have this army forced on back. And, well, this one lurker is doing something. But the attempted run-bys from Reynor, well, they're not doing all that great. Mainly, it's actually, this map gets really interesting in the late game, actually. So, if you remember, those of you that saw Clem, I might have actually been Clem versus Reynor back when Lightscape was released. We saw a lot of Bio-Terran players playing mech. Because it kind of had this weird thing where once you secure your 3rd, you kind of get your 4th and 5th for free if you expand vertically. Oh, nice little burr there. A lot of bio will go down. But if you do that, if you expand vertically, you kind of get a bunch of extra bases for free if you're playing mech. And Hardwire kind of has a similar idea. Once you take that kind of high ground base position that Clem did take as his 4th, you kind of get an extra base just because it's so hard to really push on past this kind of entrenched position that the Terran player is going to have. You put tanks there, do things like that. And we're really starting to see that happen here now, where it's hard for Reynor to really put pressure on the upper left base. Now, it looks like Clem is going to give that up for now because there is an even safer base directly behind that. And it's not like he really needs to take that extra base. Well, because he's kind of broke. Or more like he doesn't have a base mining the safer base, so might as well do that. But still, 100 or 200 supply to 100 at this point. It's a 40 army supply lead for Reynor, moving on and just trying to end this game. I mean, ghosts are good, but we don't have personal cloaking. And yeah, Reynor says, I don't even need to go and win this fight, honestly. I just need to kill your base. I need to break your economy once and for all. 17 SCVs go down. The 4th base goes down. And actually, it's going to be 18, probably. Oh, no, okay. That SCV will be allowed to stay alive. But now we truly are into the era of a broke Clem. He's sitting below 100 supply, trying to find his way back into this game, and he's made a valiant effort. All right, we've seen a lot of lurkers go down. 23 lurkers have died in this game, but 23 workers don't matter. 23 lurkers, excuse me, don't matter if the income advantage graph is like that. If the army graph is like that, Reynor has been able to maintain his supply. Clem is not. And Reynor, he's going to turn this into a best of 3, taking game number 2 in 18 minutes. And now we're into game number 3 on the map with plenty of crickets. It's funny. The first couple games I played on this map, the first couple series, or first couple games I casted on this map, I could not figure out what was happening. I was all worried that, you know, there was some sort of interference in my cable, you know, something going disastrously wrong. And then I just realized that it's actually just map sounds, and it's all fine. Now, of course, the other fun thing about this map is we get the goodest of boys all over the place. We get dogs. At least I think that's kind of a dog. You know, going around the corners, making me a very happy man. You know, if I can play StarCraft and pet dogs at the same time, well, we all know that I'm going to be very happy indeed. Although, unfortunately, there's no way to pet the dog on Berlingrad. Really pet any doodad. You interact with it and it dies. So, yeah. Not a big fan of doggy side. Anyways. Game 1, we saw Clem just get a lot of pressure done early. And behind that, he had 3cc play. Reynor was just relentless, just impossibly behind. It was the 3cc Terran against a Zerg that had lost 14 drones early on. You're not coming back from that one. Reynor tried, he held for a while, but still not great. But now in this case, in game 2, we saw Clem attempt to make that happen. And, you know, not nearly getting as much damage done. The Banshees got 100% annihilated. They got 100%, not annihilated, 100% deflected. Reynor took like 6 bases before 10 minutes. And it was just really a game of economy at that point. Reynor was able to knock down the economy of Clem, maintain his position, develop creep past the midway point of the map, and keep it there, which is really good. That's not something you see all that often. And now we're into game number 3. It's Berlingrad. It's a really interesting map because you kind of have these all these bases that are not, it's kind of out of the way of any rational expansion pattern. You know, well, we don't need to look at this Reaper play. We all know what's gonna happen. Maybe a Zergling goes down, but that's about it. But like this base is fine, but we look at this bottom base. It's just so out of the way from kind of the rational linear expansion pattern. It's almost like this is a base that you expect the player up here, so the Terran in this case, to take, but that's also weird because it's so close to the opponent's base that something actually we're seeing that is a kind of a commonality on the new maps in the pool is you have bases that don't really make sense for anyone to take, and they will be taken late in the game, and it just I talked about this on the Hardwire map as well, but it provides so much incentive for, oh, I'm just gonna get a drone here. That's gonna be nice. I mean, a moral victory more than anything else, but still, you don't expect to get a drone. Oh, he's gonna get a second? No, okay. I almost feel like it's worth it losing the Reaper for the drone at that point, as the Reaper goes down anyways. Yeah, die for that drone. I feel like that is absolutely the play. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, talking about maps. It's really cool that we are seeing these maps that incentivize interaction. Is a way we'll talk about it. Maps like Berlingrad, like Haywire, like say Blackburn does the same thing with its 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock bases. They incentivize interaction in the late game. They don't allow players to just kind of split the map and not do anything, because eventually, well, you're gonna have to take those maps, and those maps are kind of owned or at least very easily pressured by your opponent. So it becomes rather difficult to deal with anyways. Also, I think it's really interesting. Notice I didn't talk about it then, but Clem goes and he opens up the wall slightly here in this spot. Now that just means it's a little bit more difficult for Reynor to really get anything done. But look, he will get a couple lings in here as speed completes. I think he just got 1 SCV, and that's going to be about it. But it will force the Hellions back. Oh, it doesn't even get the SCV. I'm sorry. So maybe not worth it. No damage, just forcing his opponent to return home, removing some sort of pressure on the map here. But ooh, this is interesting. We got a Virtual One going down, or not. Never mind. I think Reynor maybe thought that this was going to be more committed aggression than it is, and he kind of took a second to look at things, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, no, that's not what's happening. It's fine." Because I can see roaches being pretty good on this map. The rest distance is not as long as others. It's not as long as, you know, say 2,000 atmospheres or Romanticide, to use an extreme example. And the area outside of the third base that Clem is likely to take, kind of that triangular third position, there's not a lot of choke. I mean, roaches are going to be able to attack into this fairly decently, assuming that they knock these rocks down. And especially if Clem takes this base, I mean, this is wide open. So from that perspective, roaches make a lot of sense. You gotta hit a 1-1 max a la Rogue and just smash down the Terran third before anything happens. It's not quite as doable, as quick as it would be on Oxide, for example. We just kind of compare new maps to old maps, but still, it does seem to be a more viable map for it, just because of how wide open the map can be, or at least wide open around the bases. But now we got the pressure coming on in here. Double medevac for wait, was this 2-1-1? No, it wasn't. The TY 2-1-1 hits it. Well, hits at 5:30. Anyway, we will have the army's looking to move on in here. Zerglings getting this round. We are starting to see Hellions get target fired on down, so these Zerglings are going to be a whole lot more impactful. It is cool though. We saw that this was very much a planned build from the get-go. As we saw Clem, he removed that one mineral patch from that choke there, which allowed the Hellions and the Marines to really find themselves in a nice position that it wasn't the easiest thing for Reynor to clean up. But of course, as Clem moves forward, as he tries to actually exert pressure, well, he has to leave that nice, solid defensive position behind. And, well, we saw that happen here. As now Clem looking to move on forward, will snipe down a Morphing Bane. But at this point, there are enough Banelings that on creep, Clem should really not be able to get too much more done. But it's also very interesting. I mean, Reynor, his upgrades are very far behind now. Do we have double Evo? No, it's only... It's almost 7 minutes, and this is it's single Evo plus 1 Carapace. It looks very much hit now like Reynor is going to be going just for a speed bane all in. And Clem, is he going to see this? Yes, he does. So the Banelings that are morphing in, they will get target fire down. They're going to couple Widowmine, sure, but I mean, this is weird for Reynor at this point. This has got to be all in because his tech is very far behind at this point. Yeah, he's got a 4th base. I'm sorry, it was canceled. He had a 4th base underway. But I mean, Reynor, he's going to have to get something done very soon. He's going to be rapidly... Okay, well, Widowmine's not going to get much. He's going to be rapidly behind in tech. Although, actually, you know what? I think this was a 2-on-1. Or this was the TY 3-base 2-on-1 coming on in from Clem, where you do get the Hellions, and you're fine there. Just a little bit later than I normally expect to see it, but maybe it's just a Berlingrad effect. Anyway, Widowmine drops, they're going to try to find some value, but Drilling Claw's not yet done. I don't believe, yeah, no Drilling Claws yet, so Clem's going to be fine, or Reynor's going to be fine here, not really going to take too much damage, and well, plus 1 Carapace, it's over halfway done. It's going to be done rather soon, as that medevac does survive, but still, it's going to be a 1 upgrade deficit pretty much for the entirety of this game, as nice Widowmine's, oh, that's a big one. You're looking at this, you're like, oh yeah, Reynor, he's got great splits, he's going to be fine. Especially now that's all he has to deal with. And then the last one knocks down like every single Baneling, and suddenly Clem can find his way on into the main base. And folks, this is what I'm looking for. We're going to see some Clem magic here, maybe. No, okay, he's not going to be able to target fire things down because he's too worried about the massive counterattack on into his third. 8 workers will go down here. I think there were maybe some Banelings with that. But certainly we'll see 10 odd workers die. The second factory will not be allowed to complete. And still, actually, even more value. I feel like Clem at that point had enough of his army that he probably could have just fought it with that. But anyways, this drop on the right-hand side as well. It is Clem absolutely swarming here in this game number 3. Finding, it's weird. It feels like Clem has all the tempo, but we see Reynor got 14 workers. So Clem, he has to find some sort of commensurate damage, as he does have a 1 upgrade lead. Trying to find more and more value. The target fire is good, but Banelings are fast now on creep with Baneling speed, so they're really not going to be a thing. Banelings looking to roll on in for Reynor as well, and folks, it looks like Reynor and Clem are all warmed up as they are swarming here on both sides. Reynor just putting so much aggression into Clem, vice versa. And you know what I said? That it really did feel like Clem was just all over the place, was really finding the value. But then I look at the situation. You realize that 14 workers have gone down. Clem losing a lot of his economy, not really finding much value, just showing a lot of presence on the map. And suddenly you kind of look at this a little more and you're like, well, Reynor has a better economy. He has 4 bases. He's got a lot of queens. It's going to be very difficult for Clem to push on in. The thing I'm worried about, of course, is the fact that, well, it's still only 1 Evo plus a +1 or a +1 attack is only just now getting started at 10 minutes in this game. And well, it feels like eventually the tech lead for Clem is just going to be insurmountable. historically we've talked about this 3-3 versus 2-2 timing, where the Terran player goes, they go mutas, or excuse me, the Zerg player goes mutas, and they can just really not afford 5 plus 3-3, and they're trading evenly, they're doing what they can, but eventually the 3-3 happens for the bio player, and it's just, the Zerg can't fight anymore. Now this game, that may happen sooner, as 2-2 is not going to be done before +1 armor is done, but certainly it's going to be done before 2-2 even starts for Reynor here, and his economy, as much as I said it's good, it's not great, it's only 72 workers, so he can't just infinitely trade and be happy about it. Okay, but now, let's see. Also, honestly, the crew spread are very well curtailed by Clem in this game, as the queens do look to move on forward. And by the way, that's 17 queens. This is a significant matriarchy that we got here in this game 3, as Reynor really is just making the read that Clem is just being very aggressive and just wants to do so much in this game. Widowmine's actually not going to be all that great, despite them actually being able to get some shots off. Clem has been tremendously aggressive in this game, and Reynor, his read is like, look, I just got to survive here, but Clem's got 2-2 underway. Reynor has not quite traded as well as he needs to maintain this kind of tempo game, where Clem doesn't feel like he can do much either, because, well, Clem's taking his 4th base now, his 2-2 is done rather soon, he's continued to develop his tech, continued to develop his economy, and suddenly, well, that's what's not going to be great. And really, it's just a game of Clem. He's on such a timer in this game, and it's going to be difficult. Now, if he takes a good fight, before this 2-2 is done, if he takes a good fight on upgrade parity, if he can just sweep Clem's army from the field and then run into the counterattack, maybe that's going to be something. But, I mean, look at how many queens are going down here. Supplies were even for a second, but now they're not. And, I mean, a lot of Reynor's army, it's on the right side. It is dealing with this drop, and the Widowmine is going to make sure that even if Reynor gets a good trade, because Clem's not paying attention, it's not going to be a great trade at the end of the day, because Reynor, he wasn't splitting either. He was dealing with his pressure at the front. And there are not a lot of queens. This big HP bolster that we've seen that has allowed him to stay alive, that has allowed this creep to stay alive for so long, well, it's not there anymore. Now the 4th base goes down. It is a 3-base Zerg against a 4-base Terran. And now this is where Clem is really starting to roll. He's got a 5th base underway. His 4th base is done. 2-2 is done. 3-3 is probably going to get started as, well, it's not even going to need it. GG, Clem with the pressure. He takes game 3. He puts himself on a match point. And this one is for some of the marbles. It's for all the marbles. If Clem wins, well, it just means that Clem and Reynor only have 1 marble left if we go to game 5. As I attempt to make a poorly thought out Squid Game reference, but it's fine. So I never played the games of marbles that that they played in that show. As a kid, I'm only familiar with, you know, your traditional, put a bunch of marbles in the center, you try to knock them out of the ring, you have a big marble and some smaller marbles, and smaller marbles is what you're trying to get. Actually, I competed in a marble tournament once, like back in Cub Scouts, which is weird because I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen anymore. I feel like I was like on the very last edge of people that, you know, have competed in marble tournaments and things like that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm putting too little faith in how things go. But now we're moving on into game number 4 here. It is Glittering Ashes, or Glittering something else if we're talking about the abbreviation that has taken the world by storm, or at least taken Rotterdam's stream and Reynor's stream by storm. But this is another big map. All right, it's got kind of that equivalent 8 base setup, as really is kind of or 8 base aside, 16 total base setup, that has really kind of become the default of new maps at this point, where, I'm sorry, 9 base by default. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, yes, sorry, 9 bases. So 1 more than the kind of default base count that we see in a lot of macro maps. Now, by the way, Poor went out for Ice and Chrome, which I believe had 9 or 10 bases aside, and was just this gloriously massive macro map. Of course, yeah, there's a reason to only stay in the pool for a season. It was just so choky. It made playing against mech was just misery incarnate. You just could not break. You could, but it made it very difficult to break a meching player just because of how choked out it was. But in this game, on this map, it's a little bit more wide open. There are more attack patterns. This is something that we've really, we talk about commonalities in the new pool because the pools are new enough that I can talk about it. We have more of these bases that are notionally for one player or the other, but very difficult to hold because of how close they are to their opponent's bases. And on top of that, we have we have a move away from what I'm going to call like true fortress maps. Is a nice job there. Reynor's not going to lose a single drone despite they really committed pressure on those Reapers. But what we're going to call true fortress maps. Think like a Death Aura, for example, where, I mean, there are only 2 attack routes into the main 3 bases. Make that maybe 3 if we want to include the main 4. And it just becomes very difficult to really do any sorts of thing, do any sort of damage. End the game before your opponent gets to 4 bases 99 times out of 100 on maps like that. And that just means the games go long for the sake of being long rather than going long because the games are good. And it makes it so hard for a player with a winning position or for an advantage to turn it into a truly winning position, which, you know, there's something to be said for that, to allow for comebacks to happen. But there's a difference between a comeback because of player skill and a comeback because of map design. So we are starting to see, even on these kind of more fortressy maps, say Glittering Ashes, there are more attack paths, right? So get into the core 4 here, we have effectively 4 attack paths, and they can be fairly significant. They can be fairly wide open if you want to take it, if you want to knock down some rocks, if you have the ability to do that. Which, of course, means that it's a little bit easier to break an opponent. I mean, you still don't want to make it too easy because that also becomes a little bit annoying. Is a couple Zerglings are going to run on in once again. This is the thing that Reynor tried to do last game. It was unsuccessful. This game, he gets 2 drone or 2 STVs. And he's going to be pretty happy about that one. Meanwhile, Hellions dive in on the other side, but they're Queens, they're Lings. Hellions will go down here. And 1 Reaper with Speedlings out. Not really going to be enough to do anything. And the Queens on the low ground mean that this Reaper is dead regardless of what it... Well, actually... Yeah, Speedlings are out. It will go down. It will be a nice scout there, though, as Clem will see that the gas is being, of course, resaturated. That's what you expect at this point in the game. But there's no lair. No tech really being shown just yet at 4:30. So, again, not all that surprising. But it does mean that it's not some sort of kind of interesting, quick layer 3-base muted play, something like that. Granted, muted play in general is just not a thing in ZVT anymore. Not really. I mean, we see it maybe once a series. More if you're a DRG, less if you're Reynor. But I mean, the meta very much is either Lingbane or like Lingbane Hydra into Lurker. Which kind of makes me sad because honestly, Mutiling Bane is a cool style. I do enjoy it. It's much more up tempo. It really does allow for Zerg to really establish map control, and it's a display of skill that is very different from kind of the display of skill of I'm gonna sit on creep and defend, and that is kind of what you do with Hydraling Bane as well, or with Mutiling Bane, but you're defending with your Lings and your Banes, and you're just really trying to jerk the Terran player around the map. With your muted, super fragile, dynamic style. But anyway, that's not what's going to happen in this game. So I won't wax poetic about it any longer. What I will wax poetic about is, again, Reynor, he's showing some pretty good creep spread in the face of continued Banshee or Hellion Banshee pressure because, well, he's Reynor. He's got a lot. How many queens does he have this game? Yeah, okay, so he's his standard 9 at this point. He's got creep developing in the path that he needs it to. It means that he's going to be able to get creep past his 4th base pretty quickly. Means it's going to be hard to push into that one. He's got creep really defending his natural 3rd base position pretty well, and he's got creep not even where he's looking to expand yet, but well enough that he's going to be able to be aware of any sort of aggression coming on in, any sort of push from the right side, which honestly, it's very hard to push in from that right side. It is just such a long rally that you don't expect it, but still. That creep will continue to develop, and Reynor will continue to own that part of the map because that's probably going to be where his 5th base goes. Yep, and as I say, that 5th base going down right there, and lair is just about done. Mailing Nest is going to finish up with the lair, which is nice, instead of far later. So we will see Baneling speed at a more reasonable time, closer to 8 minutes, 8:15, rather than the almost 10 minutes I think it was that we saw in that previous game that Reynor did lose. So Anyway, 1-1 actually is going to be done right around the same time as the 1-1 of the Terran as well. And now we got Hellbats, we got Widow Mines, we got all that pressure coming on in. Baneling speed only just now getting started. So we're going to see Reynor do that Reynor thing where he just tries to survive. He tries to just last as long as he can on slow Banes, on Queens, on things like that until he's able to get his tech where it needs to be. Now, of course, 1-1 is going to be done for both players right around the same time. A couple workers go down. Okay, it's not non-zero. And Widow Mines, they try to do something, but, you know, Widow Mine going off on a Queen, it's worth some energy. That's about it. And it's funny, I almost expect this map to be the longest map that we get in the series, considering it's, that's interesting, because that's kind of crazy, because I believe the Curious Minds map was just about 18 minutes long, but I mean, just look how big this map is. It's a map, it's a macro map made in heaven. It's hard for players to break each other, not romanticide hard, but still not the easiest thing to do. And certainly if you're Reynor and you got your back against the wall here, it's hard for you to grow across the map and actually just beat your opponent. You got to take some disastrous fights as Clem, and even still, maybe you got some time to rebuild enough of an army that you don't die. That being said, Reynor may be looking for that timing where he has just that first lurker burrow timing, where he's able to make something happen. At this point, Clem just very interested in dragging the map apart. So we got this drop on the right-hand side, trying to make something here, but we got Lings and Banes, no big deal. Clem just target firing down a Baneling before running away. You got this pressure on the left side as well from Clem, and you got to remember, as good as this dual prong pressure is, there is no tanks. There's nothing that really contests this Hydroling Bane army. I mean, sure, they're Hellbats, but actually they're all dead now. And when we look at these Hydras that will eventually have range, I mean, Widow Mines versus ranged Hydras. Hydras outrange the Widow Mine shots, and that's kind of the calculus that you're looking for. Now, the Bio's going to look to stim on in, and actually really nice target fire here. A couple more Banelings will go down before Clem backs up, but it's minor damage. It's a little bit of damage on this hatchery. Nothing too significant. And that means now that Clem, I mean, he's going to get cleaned on up of that eventually. This Hydra Concave with these Queens means this push of Terran Bio, especially with the Destructible Rocks not down, it's not going to break its way up that ramp. So Reynor, he's got his 2-2 underway. It's a little bit slower. It's a little bit off timing compared to what the 1-1 was, but it's still fine. Especially as he is here just kind of defending on a creep, developing his tech. And well, we got an infestation bit underway. He will have those lurkers eventually, as Widow Mine's just getting kind of siphoned off their shots onto Queens. And we talked about this earlier. I mean, Queens have 150 HP. They do not die to Widow Mines, and especially with transfuses, it's very much okay. Now the Bio is going to move on forward. Baneling's looking for those connections, and even as they kind of do the struggle shuffle around that emplacement, around the doodad, the corner, that does give room for Clem to potentially target fire some stuff down. It's not going to be enough, and Clem will be forced back from this position, which means the creep will be developed. Reynor is going to have an even more solid hold on the left side of the map, and his hold on the right side already pretty damn solid, because again, Clem, he's been focusing on the fourth base of Reynor, not the fifth. But now Clem, he does have 4 bases to himself. He is adding those 3 additional barracks, going on up to 8, just making sure that he can keep that steady stream of, what is that, 13, 15 Marines at a time on in. But Clem also, he is advancing his tech here. He's developing his tech just a little bit more. We have Ghost Academy underway. He should get 3-3 rather soon. And he's got a timing now where he has 2-2. His opponent has 1-1. A lot of Banelings we saw get target fired on down. This is his opportunity to take this 5th base down. But there's still too many Hydras here. And they will start to target fire down these medevacs, which means, well, the army just doesn't fight as well as it might otherwise, because there's just not enough healing here. More and more Lings, more and more Banes finding their way on in. Clem will be forced back. And again, that means creep can be developed. That means more fun things can be developed. As it looks like this one Marine is doing his best. Nice splits there from Reynor as well. Just make sure these random Widow Mines do not end his hopes and dreams. But I was talking earlier about how the fact that Reynor can't really run across the map and kill his opponent all that easily. But the other win condition before lurkers is his opponent killing himself on Reynor, just putting too much pressure in, taking trades that are just not great, and committing to a little bit too heavily to it, which is starting to feel like Clem may have done just a little bit of that. His supply is oscillating between 20 and 40 down compared to his opponent. He does not have an army supply lead. His 3-3 is a little bit late. He was sat on 2-2 for quite a while, and 2-2 is done for Reynor. He has, by the way, gone for +2 melee instead of +1 range, which does mean that this army now is going to be more powerful than it might otherwise be. Sure, the Lurker army It's not going to be there, but actually, no, Reynor, he's just committing hardcore into this army. He's going 3-3 melee. This is an army that's not really going to get lurkers for all that quickly, as the Widowmine shots are going to be traitor Widowmines indeed. The Baneley's looking to roll on in, and sure, there are a couple ghosts, but they're not really doing too much. Your Baneley's crushing on through. We got Lings on top of the 5th base. 9 SCVs go down as a big army on the left-hand side as well. It's going to knock down the 4th. Reynor swarming everywhere, swarming his way back into this series. And now we got one game more for all the marbles. Game 5 between Reynor and Clem. And now here we are, game number 5. And I'm sorry, I believe I said that the longest map was Curious Minds. I was talking about Hardwire, which is interesting because those maps are not similar at all. Hardwire, it's a great big map. Curious Minds is our, well, technically our smallest map in the pool. I guess Beckett is still technically in the ladder pool, so, you know. That being said, Beckett doesn't count. Beckett shouldn't count as a map. Beckett is a terrible map. And I can say that because it's not in the competitive pool anymore. But I don't think people will disagree for the most part. I mean, 28-second rush distance is just stupid. Yes, there is absolutely room in StarCraft for short maps. But in the current meta, in the current patch, 28 seconds with the bases as they were, it was just so racially imbalanced. Certain matchups were just so bad one way or the other. ZVT Queen Walks or ZVP Queen Walks so good for the Protoss. TVZ tank build so good for the Terran that that's not StarCraft. Certainly, I mean, it's okay to be, you know, maybe 3% advantage one way or the other. That's one way you can balance the game. But the sheer imbalance that we saw, yeah, not a fan. Anyway, what do we got here in this game number 5? And by the way, of course, you know, winner gets $200, loser gets $100. So this is non-zero value, even if we aren't talking about the EPT points. Reynor and Clem trying to duke it out, trying to determine who is champion of Europe in week 94. Now, granted, players have played a lot. We've seen Reynor win massive best of X's against Clem. Clem do the same. And yeah, the stakes are not quite as high here in this weekly cup, but still, you know, I'd rather make $200 than $100. I think that's a pretty fair statement. So it's going to be a 1-1-1 from Clem here in this game number 5. So a couple different options are on the table. Some sort of weird Hellbat push. I mean, we haven't seen that from Clem. I mean, he's built Hellbats, but it hasn't been a Hellbat push in this series. And granted, I'm not a big fan of Hellbats in general. It just doesn't feel all that great. It feels like the Zergs at this point, especially as queen heavy as Reynor likes to play, he doesn't get much done. But it is something we haven't seen from Clem in this series. So maybe he looks to leverage the fact that he's kind of gone for more greedy builds in every game thus far, that he kind of does something a little bit more aggressive. But of course, the other option, well, one of the other two options is it's actually not going to be a 1-1-1 whatsoever. It's going to be, you know, factoring the 3rd command center and Clem just going as greedy as he can. Well, not as greedy as he can. You know, 3CC, CC barracks command center is the greediest he possibly could. But, you know, technically he could get a 3rd command center before his barracks, but that's not even greedy at that point. That's just stupid. But anyway, he will leverage the more macro side of things in this game number 5, and interesting decision considering this is Curious Minds. It is the smallest map of the pool. It does open you do kind of open yourself up to roach ideas from Reynor. I mean, 3rd base is wide open, or even if you take this one, still not all that closed, and the rush distance, it's rather short. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Reynor do it, especially considering he has also been playing more of a kind of conservative style in this series thus far. So what better time to throw out something much more aggressive is, you know, game number 5, when you've kind of developed the meta between the two players already. But for now, nothing crazy. Speed's just about done. More and more drones underway. Reynor, Clem just kind of developing their economies into the mid game. And yeah, it doesn't really favor either player. I mean, yes, we can talk about how Clem, he got his 3rd command center fast, so he's going to be a little bit ahead. And at this point, I mean, Reynor hasn't built a lot to defend. He's got like 12 lings. He's in a decent spot. This is certainly not a game that he has never played before. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I didn't properly identify this build for you all. Not quite. Everything I'm saying about, aggression, not aggression, take that with a caveat. This is the build we saw in game number 3 as well, where it's the 3cc 211 build. So we saw 2 Hellions, right? And that is part of the build. That's part of what makes it so scary, because 211 doesn't get Hellions, but a 211, the TY version that has a 3rd CC, it does. So we're going to see, well, Stim is done now. 2 Medevac's just about done as well. It's not going to be a full 2 Medevacs. It's going to be, a Medevac and a half, Medevac and 2/3, or Medevac and 3/4, running across the map with a couple Hellions. Not all that much. We did see 4 Hellions in game 3. This time it's only going to be 2. And with this rush distance, I mean, Reynor does not appear to be prepared for this just yet. Oh, yeah, his Zerglings are running across the map. And when we're at 10 Lings against the 211, well, that's not all that great. Now, this Overlord will scout things, and we do have 12 Lings underway now. The goal is 30-ish, 35. That is the number that you're really looking for as Reynor to try to make your hold happen. But the bio is already here. It's already stimming on in. So what's Reynor going to do? He's going to run by. He says, look, I got to find your 3rd. I got to force you back just a little bit. But the Hellions here defensively are making that not possible. And now Reynor just spent 15 Lings on a hold, on an offensive hold that really is not going to do all that much for him. Although that being said, it looks like Clem for the moment, he will back up. He will kind of embrace the pressure that he's dealing with as we have 3 Banelings morphing in. Now, there is no Baneling speed. So that nice timing that we do tend to actually see a significant amount when we're talking about Reynor, where you roll a 3 or 4 speed Banelings into the 3rd base right as the pressure from the Terran hits and right as speed is done. Well, that's not the proper build for this, but still, we're going to have to see whether anything happens here. Banelings roll on in, doesn't really get all that much. Clem is paying attention. So now Reynor trying to take his 4th base, and again, his creep spread around his 3rd is very good. The creep spread around the 4th, not nearly as nice, and this is a really nice rally for Clem. So he's going to be able to knock down this creep spread as well, and suddenly he's going to have a really nice pushing position, especially with the Zelnaka Tower on into this 4th base of Reynor. And yeah, Reynor, he's got 9 queens. Or 10 queens, excuse me. But that only lasts so long against the continued pressure of the Terran players. Now the tanks are going to move on forward, looking to siege on up. And by the way, folks, there is no Baneling speed here. Actually, is there a lair? Okay, there's a lair, but no Baneling speed just yet, which means that it's going to be a while before Reynor is really going to be able to clean this up appropriately. So he's going to go for the flank right now. Ling's trying to get on top of this tank. The Widowmines, or excuse me, the Banelings, they're just going to get target fired on down. All the Marines go down as well. This is a dead 4th. And unfortunately, Reynor, he committed to defending. Sometimes it's okay. You can say, look, I don't have what I need right now. It's going to be fine, but I'm just not going to defend it. I'm going to go take the other side. It's going to be A-okay. That's not what happens in this game. Clem, he takes an insane trade. He knocks down all the Marines, or knocks down all the Lings, knocks down all the Banes. Now he's found himself in the main base here. Tank is sieging up. It's on half health. And we're going to see this spawning pool get target fired on down. Banelings are morphing. Lings are coming on in, doing what they can, but Baneling speed is another 30, 40 seconds away. We're going to see this around here try to take the fight, but I mean, the target fire from Clem is going to be rather good. A couple more Banelings go down. And where are we at now? Again, you can't build more Lings. Not for a while. No more Queens. Not for a while. So it's all going to be on Banelings at this point. And, well, 2 more tanks, a couple Widowmines finding their way on in. The upside, I guess, if we can talk about this for Reynor, is for the moment he kind of has this drop from Clem Maroon, but that's not even true. Reynor has to be very careful with these Marines or with these Lings until he has his spawning pool back. Baneling speed is done in 5 seconds, so eventually, well, it's going to be able to be cleared on off. But now we, of course, have this push on the left side as well. The Queens, they've been marooned indeed. They're all going to go down, and suddenly this stalwart HP buffer that Reynor has been relying on to keep his bases alive, well, it's not there anymore. 6 workers go down. Clem, he is your champion here of EPT number 94, the European edition, adding yet another EPT cut to his trophy list, his illustrious trophy list. Now, of course, again, if you like what we do, if you like what I do in particular, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Bamwolf, every Monday at the very least for EPT Cup North America. I try to do Korea Cups, try to do other things when I can. And if you like what we do here in general at Alpha X, we're running our own tournament. November 19th through the 21st. It's the King of Battles 2. It's going to be incredible. Twitch.tv/AlphaXST2 for that. But for now, folks, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Stay safe. Love you a long time. And I'll catch you next time.